That's right, so when it gets submitted, your name will show up on the spreadsheet.
I had to fill it out, my name, my email, and all that.
Just we'll click over and
I've been
I'm on
recorded.
camera. You've been recorded.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to sales meeting. How is everyone?
So
Wow.
good.
Great. I'm so glad. Welcome everyone who is live streaming in. We're glad you're with us too. Let's dive in and talk about some brokerage items. First, make sure you sign in. This is how you get to win the giveaway for sales meeting, which today is this Echo Dot. Isn't that fun? So fancy.
Yay.
This is from our sponsor, who we're going to hear from in just a few minutes.
Put my name on.
So that, oh, I already claimed it. Oh, just kidding. That's not allowed. Okay, so yes, just make sure you sign in. You can go directly to the link. It all has to be lowercase, or you can use the QR code. This is true for you on live stream as well. You're eligible to win, but you do have to sign in. Okay, next, announcements. Always like to highlight a service or something we have here at the brokerage for you. Just wanted to talk about our corporate discounts. So if you guys are not aware, we have a number of companies who offer discounts to Silvercreek agents. From the toolbox, you can click on corporate discounts to see what those are. There's hotels and closing gifts, and there's all kinds of stuff. So check it out. And if you have a company who would be interested in providing a corporate discount, please send them to me and I can vet them out and see if it would be a good fit for our discount page. But some really great things there for you. And a number of things from businesses owned by Silvercreek agents, which is one of my favorite things to do, connecting our agents to other agent-owned businesses. That's really exciting for me. So, okay. Next, we are launching some agent masterminds. We are still in the process of forming groups. I just wanted to give one more shout out for the masterminds. This will be an ongoing sign up, so if it's not the right fit for you right now, that's okay. You'll be able to join in the future. So what this is an opportunity to get together with some like-minded agents. It will be led by a facilitator, someone who will help guide the conversation and keep focused on goals that the group has set. This is really good for building community, for staying motivated and accountable. What this is not business coaching. So this is more agents collaborating together versus someone really coaching you on your business. If you need that, I have resources for that too. But kind of filling two different needs here in this way. Any questions about this? You can sign up on the toolbox. There is a link. And like I said, we'll be putting together our initial groups here probably in the next week to 2 weeks. We have some fantastic upcoming classes. In fact, right after sales meeting, we have a CE class from Ty Porter. He's actually going to speak to us and give us our mortgage update today. He's teaching a class on reverse mortgage. And you know what? This is becoming more popular. I just had a friend reach out this weekend and say to me, reverse mortgage, is it a bad thing? And then I was able to help educate her on, it's actually her mom and dad who are pursuing a reverse mortgage. So the more education we have, the better we can serve clients, friends, family members, everybody. So come and learn. This will be lunch provided. It is 1 CE, and there's no cost to attend. Okay, we've got our open tech hour and marketing workshops tomorrow on Thursday. We have a really exciting event, and I don't want to steal your thunder here, but I'm going to in just a second so you can recharge it. But we've got a really exciting event on Thursday, title commitment class as well. So our event on Thursday, this is sponsored by OneTrust Home Loans, soon to be Bluebird Home Loans, which is our joint venture partnership with OneTrust. Bluebird Home Loans will be launching on August 1st. We are very excited about that. Same faces, new name is pretty much what's happening. We're really excited. So I'm hosting a top producer panel. We will have these 4 individuals, Angie Daw and Michael Christensen, our agents here at Silvercreek. Among our top producing agents, Angie is one of our very top producing agents. She works in our Idaho Falls market. And then JJ Astorkia, our lender partner, top producing loan officer, and then Andre Anderson, who is with the brokerage agency. So they're going to be talking about their secrets, right? How they're staying successful in a changing market. This is a free event. We want all of you to join us if you're able. However, there are only 20 seats left out of 90. So if you would like to attend, please make sure to get your ticket. I don't have the link right here, but we have a flyer that's going to be going around. And you can also find this on the Silvercreek calendar. You can find it on my personal Facebook, and you can find it in the Facebook forum online. Great. And I'll let you, well, almost. I'll let you add to that here in a minute. Okay, another reminder, if you are live streaming in and missed the beginning, please sign in to sales meeting so you can be eligible for our giveaway. Our next sales meeting. Our next sales meeting would be July 4th. I'm not going to be here that day, and I'm guessing neither are you. So we are not going to have sales meeting that day. So our next sales meeting will be July 18th. And we have an individual coming in to teach us about solar panels. There is one question that I see in the forum so often, and it is, what do I do about solar panels on my new listing? How do I value them? What red flags do I need to look for? How do I understand the value of solar panels versus the cost of solar panels? What if there's a loan on the solar panels, right? All of these little issues that come up. And so we have someone coming in to teach us the ins and outs and help equip you to take care of your clients the best way possible. All right, any questions? Doing good, okay, fantastic. We're gonna turn a few minutes over to Ty Porter. He's gonna give us an update on the lending world.
You pretty much said everything I was gonna say. But here's a flyer on that panel discussion that this Thursday morning. I think we're actually down to like 16 seats left, but it should be great, so we'd love to have you there. And August 1st is our official Bluebird launch date. That was the other thing I was going to talk about.
Sorry, Ty. We'll compare notes next time.
Okay. And here's another flyer that what a lot of people don't know that we also offer is a buy now, refinance later. So any new purchase that we do for your clients, we offer them a refinance coupon, and what that means is we won't charge appraisal fees and we won't charge processing fees. So anytime before 2025, if rates get down low enough that it makes sense for your client that purchased through us, we'll do a refinance, waive appraisal fee and processing fee. So essentially $2,500 to $2,700 in savings on a refinance. So remember that. Take this flyer. Oh, was I in front of it?
Oh, you're good. No,
Sorry.
we're just using this mic. All good?
That's it? Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
I'll see you in an hour.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Ty. We are going to turn just a couple minutes over to Tanner Shipley. He is with America's Preferred Home Warranty, and he is our sponsor today, giving away this beautiful Echo Dot.
Lovely.
So, and I'll announce the winner in our Facebook group. I usually do that the day after sales meeting, so watch for that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for having me, guys. So good to be here. I've been with America's Preferred Home Warranty for about a year now, and pretty cool getting to know the home warranty business. I was a closing agent before, and so coming in with a little bit of background knowledge on how the warranty works, but and with a country-leading company, it's been a lot of fun. So anyways, we allow homeowners to choose their own licensed contractors for any covered repairs. So that's our biggest differential for you as agents. So I like to say that real estate agents, they're like, you're more in the experience business than you are anything, and giving that client a great experience. And so using the warranty can control that experience on the back end when no one's there. And so offering it, it's something that most people do on every listing and closing, and it'll always save you on the back end. So Anyways, big thing about us, we're 24/7, 365. So if usually claims don't happen at 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. It's on a weekend and things are breaking down. So we know that we can help that situation on any day. And we also have some risk management tools. One is for your sellers. If they were any post-close disputes up to 2 years, we cover $1,000. And so we give that if you're offering the warranty to them. We have free marketing materials too. A lot of times people like to see a warranty on the home. And so if you guys want sign riders or tents, the table tents for any, what are they called? Open houses, excuse me. We have those. So anyways, I won't go much further, but I'd love to get to know you guys as agents and build a relationship and talk more about how we can work together to build more lasting relationships with your clients. So thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Tanner.
I have warranties right here too, if anybody wants to pick some of those up.
Fantastic. And we'll hold some of these pamphlets at the brokerage for anyone online who wants to pick some up later. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to turn a couple minutes over to broker extraordinaire Krista Deacon, as I like to call her. And she'll introduce our speaker today as well.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming and joining us today and online as well. So I'm kind of going to take the liberty of my broker moment being the rest of the meeting, if you're good with that, because of our speakers here, our presenters. But I do want to remind you, and I'm sure you guys are in the same boat as I am, but this is like my most favorite book in the world, right?
You just sleep.
Right?
Right.
You do? You sleep with it?
Also mine, yeah.
I love that. I love that. So in case you guys don't know what this is, which I'm sure you all do because we're all actively licensed and IREC is in the house, just saying. It's the license law book, okay? So we are going to reference this a little bit today with just talking about some of the hot topics and compliance trends that IREC is seeing. And the goal for today is to keep you guys out of hot water and to scare the living daylights out of you. Okay? So they've got a tall order to fill.
Wow.
I'd like to introduce, we've got Don Morse. Come on up, Don. He is the chief
It changes all the
investigator.
time.
What are you now?
I am the investigative program supervisor.
Yes.
So,
It's just titles, right? He's like the big wig at IREC, which he'll share with you. It's not quite IREC all the time anymore. And then we have Craig Boyack, who is an investigator on the compliance, well, the enforcement team, I guess. So I'm going to turn it over to these lovely gentlemen who really have been so helpful to me over the years, and to all of you if you do call in. Their goal is to not really enforce and punish. Their goal is to educate and keep us in line. So don't be afraid of them, please. I was originally, and then I realized, okay, they're just people, right? They're just guys that are here to help us out and keep us all in line. So I'll turn it over to you.
Krista, thank
There
you.
will be like a question session in the end. Just keep in mind this is licensed law stuff, and whatever questions you have, don't get too far into the weeds because whoever you complained against might be in the room or online. And we want to make sure that we keep everything friendly. Yeah, don't forget, we've got people online. So just kind of keep it, PC, please.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate it. And we'll turn it
Thanks
over
for
to
the
you.
opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, my name is Dawn, and so I do have to say that I really appreciate Krista. She calls all the time, and I have to say, Silvercreek Realty is a very, very large brokerage. And I've been doing this for 16 years. Craig's been doing it for 20 years. And we don't get a lot of complaints on Silvercreek agents. So I appreciate that. You're doing the right things here. So doing a great job. And so you got great ownership. And so we appreciate this. We're really busy. Real estate, we get complaints all the time. So we want to educate. We are in the enforcement side of it. When we do get complaints, we'll investigate them. Sometimes you have possibility somebody's going to lose their livelihood, lose their license. Some of them are really, really serious, and some are really high dollar amounts. Some are minor, but we take all of them very seriously. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of history on what happened with the Idaho Real Estate Commission. Governor Little, it's probably been almost 3 years ago, he wanted to group all the licensure boards together. And there are so many licensure boards. So they decided to do this transition and utilize the old Hewlett-Packard site. The state of Idaho bought that when they wanted to utilize it. So I work with building construction and real estate. And we have 16 different commissions and boards that we work with. So real estate is just one of the ones we have now. Before, at the Real Estate Commission, we were strictly real estate. We were there. Our commissioners loved it because we were at their beck and call all the time. But now that we're so busy with all these other boards, it's really tough. We really have to spread ourselves around. And so it's been about a little over 2-year transition, and we're still working through it. And it's changed so much. Before, when a real estate licensee called in, you got somebody right away. And now we're set up on a phone tree. You're not really sure who you're going to get. But what's important is that we want to get back to you to answer your questions. Our big thing is first education. And if somebody gets in trouble, we want you to learn from that. We want it to be a good experience. I know it's not good, but we want you to learn from that. So if you call in and you have trouble getting through, keep trying. I know I've had a lot of people get a hold of me and said I've been trying to call for weeks and can't get through. So just don't give up. We're in this transition. It's going to get better. We say that every day, and I really hope it does get better. But we're striving to get to where we need to be. We want to answer those questions. So that was just a little history on DOPL. Does anybody have any questions right now on our process? It's Division of Occupational and Professional Licensing. And the Real Estate Commission is all part of that now. Anybody any questions on that?
Which is your favorite board?
Of course, it's the real estate. You know what? The real estate people are fun. I can tell you, we have the engineering board, and so I don't know if you guys know any engineers. Oh God, I have to go in front of that board and talk to them. They grill me. The first time I was up there, they said, "Tell me why you're in front of us talking to us. What are your credentials?" And so they're very analytical, and but we do have some good boards, and we have some kind of really scary boards too. So, and I'm not going to tell you who they are. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run through a list of things that we see at the Real Estate Commission, and Craig and I are going to kind of tag team this, and he's going to take the first one right now.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I am that age. We actually got a little primer. We got some roughed out questions, and they want me to talk about adverse material facts. And it's actually a big topic. It could probably take its own hour, but I'm not going to really dive that deep. Consider that an adverse material fact, and people think this is a joke, but in the transaction it has to be adverse, it has to be material, means it has to matter, and it has to be a fact. We get complaints from people all the time where it's not a fact or it's just not adverse. And so understand where your brackets are and your responsibilities to both clients and customers. And the idea is, if you become aware of one of these issues, you must disclose it to the person it would be adverse to. And the part that a lot of people don't seem to always grasp is sometimes that means even if your client doesn't want you to, your obligation to Krista's buyer, I may still have to tell her about this problem even though my seller doesn't want me to. And it goes the other way too. Occasionally there's a buyer where you have knowledge of an adverse material fact, and you need to at least bring this up, make it known, so that everybody's on an even playing field. Maybe the buyer has an IRS tax lien that somebody just found out about. It's important to know that so that the seller can decide if he wants to spend the next 30 days trying to negotiate with that buyer or not. And so that's the key point in today's world about adverse material facts. One of the things that I have always said, and really I've not been corrected, it's better to over disclose than under disclose. I don't know of anybody who ever got in trouble because they disclosed, even though it may not hit all three of those beats as far as adverse material fact. Making a disclosure really isn't going to hurt you. It's actually going to make you look more honest, and it's going to possibly gain you that referral a couple of years from now. So that's mine.
Okay.
Tag, you're in.
And I just have one other point on that. So on adverse material fact, it's ideal to get that information up front from the agent or from the seller, but we've had complaints that were filed by a buyer that they're going through the transaction, and at some point before they close, they get the information on the adverse material fact. It might be from a neighbor, it could be from a home inspection. So once they get that information, they have the ability to act on it. And so they can go back and work with the seller and the listing agent to try to correct that, or go ahead and terminate that contract. So we've had complaints filed at that time, but we don't accept it because once you have that information, you can use that and figure out what you want to do. So just always be careful with adverse material facts. So the next topic we want to talk about is advertising. And Craig and I have had hundreds and thousands of calls on advertising. And the complaints originate with the licensees. So the licensees are sending information into us. We get calls, we get emails, we get letters. Sometimes we get big full-page ads and complaining about the agents. And I completely understand. And advertising in real estate is really simplistic. What you need to have is the full licensed business name of the brokerage you work at. That's easy. And then any other information you have in it must be true. It can't be misleading in nature. And so we got to the point that we were getting so many complaints that what we would do is, on the first one, we would educate. We would explain what was wrong with the advertisement, what you need to do to correct it, and then also the potential if you get another call in, we're going to go ahead and have a complaint filed against you, and it's most likely going to cost you probably right around $1,000 for an advertising violation, which is crazy. So you always want to get it right. And so we've had a change since we moved over from the Idaho Real Estate Commission to DOPL. And so our legal team has stated they want to have, so say like we have, say, Silvercreek Realty Group, LLC. And we always, Craig and I, for years and years and years, said don't worry about an Inc. or a LLC. You don't have to have that. Have Silvercreek Realty Group and you're fine. But now our legal team has come out and said, we're going to go by the letter of the law. You know, you have to have that on there. So it's caused a lot of confusion and issue. Money, you got to change stuff. And I know they were trying to, you know, some of the brokerage are trying to figure out Band-Aids to do it, do a DBA, get that LLC off there and things like that. But just be aware of that when you have your advertisement out there. And also, I know licensees, they start at one brokerage, they stay there forever. That's not true. Licensees move all the time. So you always have that footprint out there, especially on the internet. So you always want to go back and clean that up. So I'm working over at Keller Williams, and then I come over to Silver Creek, because Silver Creek's the best brokerage in the state of Idaho, right?
Right.
So, but clean up your past, and so make sure you get that off there, because somebody's going to see it, and somebody's going to go ahead and report it to us, and then you'll be getting a call from Craig or I. So, yes.
So you're saying that we have to have the LLC at the end in advertising?
If that is your, so the question was, do you have to have the LLC at the end of the broker's business name? It really depends. If your full business name under our licensing system, Silvercreek Realty Group LLC, yes, you do. And so I don't know if you have it that way or not.
We currently do have it that way, but I'm going to file to not.
So we are not, One second, we're not actively pursuing that. If somebody calls in, we'll deal with it. If we have to follow up on every call, letter we get. And so we know there's a lot of brokerages out there that are facing that. And it's something that we wish we didn't have to do. It worked well for years and years and years, and we had no issue with it. And so we're looking for where I said those wraparound Band-Aids, trying to fix it. Krista's on that. And it's going to cost a lot of money if you have to change your signs, your business cards, if you have a screen print on your car or whatever, So we're working on that, and we're trying to really help the licensees out there too. So,
I've got you guys.
yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
First of all, thank you, Krista. We appreciate it. For us to just make cards again. So I moved here to this group a year and a half ago. I am with a group that sold their company to a company out of Oregon, and the company out of Oregon has been non-responsive about removing some things online. I have called them, I have sent them screen captures, I have basically threatened them, which I really don't like to do because they're my peers. But there's still a couple things that are out of compliance. How do I go about handling that?
We also look at the effort put in by the licensee to get it corrected. And we know, we live in the real world. And some of that stuff you're not going to be able to take off when you're counting on another party to do that. So if we called you, you explained that to us, we would understand. We're not going to take any action there. We would tell you to keep trying to get it done. If you can't get it done, we're just going to let it go. So, yeah.
Document your effort.
Yeah. And that Craig just mentioned, always document your effort. So you're out there. I've called this, this person at this time to try to get this corrected. And if you go out there, I can go out on any licensee. If you've been in the business for 5+ years, I can find an advertising violation on that licensee. And we don't go looking for it. It's the licensees that are calling in, and it's usually the ones that get in trouble. They go crazy. We get emails, we get phone calls from them. They have lists of people. They got in trouble, so they want other people to get in trouble. So when we're driving out there, we see the real estate signs everywhere. I have my blinders up. I'm not looking for that because advertising it's important, and it's a law that you have to follow, but it's not something that we want to really emphasize, and I'm going to look for everything and take action on it. Yeah. Okay, so now we're on the next topic. Craig will take this one, and this is one of our favorite ones. Unlicensed practice of real estate in the state of Idaho. So.
All right. Unlicensed practice happens, and it may seem like a weird thing to bring to a brokerage where everybody's actually licensed. So I'm going to try and make it locally important for the purposes of this presentation. A lot of us in this industry have assistants. They're unlicensed assistants, and they give them all kinds of crazy titles to make everybody sound important. But at the commission, we care about whether you're licensed or you're unlicensed. You can call it a transaction coordinator, an inside sales agent, any number of things. Our only concern is, are they licensed or are they unlicensed? And so internally, your assistants, if they are not licensed, could actually get themselves in the position of engaging in unlicensed practice. One of the ones that we get calls about fairly frequently, and I think you got one last week, has to do with, I want my inside sales agent to pick up the phone book and make calls and try and turn people into consumers to do business with our team or with my salesperson, whatever that might be. Consider that when you're calling people, making those cold calls, that is trying to convert somebody into a real estate customer or client. We call it procuring. It's in your definitions under broker in your black book. And if you're procuring buyers and sellers of real estate, you need to have an active Idaho real estate license. And when it's internal at a place like this, it can get them in violation for unlicensed practice, it can get you in violation for making this happen, and it can get you in violation for failure to supervise what's going on with these people. So at some point, I would encourage everybody to maybe kick back, relook at your hiring contracts, your documents that you have with these unlicensed people, determine what they're doing, and sort of make adjustments to make sure that they aren't out there doing real estate business without a license. And, you know, we'll be happy to sell them a license too if you want to go down that path. Plenty of people have licensed assistants, and they can do anything you can do as far as the state is concerned. Internally, sometimes they do put blocks on them and say, well, you can't do this, or you're only going to work with sellers, you're only going to work with buyers. That's fine too. But as far as the state's concerned, you can do anything anybody else can if you have an active license. So look to those unlicensed people in-house and make sure that they're doing the things that aren't going to get anybody in trouble. They can do receptionist work, clerical work, filing, data entry. They can pull the MLS data for you. They can even fill out certain documents for you, but when I hand it to somebody, it becomes his work product. And so if I fill out a listing agreement and I put everything on there, he's responsible for taking it over and talking to the seller, and everything has to be right on it. There's a long ways an unlicensed person can go, but the unlicensed person cannot go over and present it to the seller, get the signature from the seller, that kind of stuff. So keep this stuff in mind. It's a weird topic for a brokerage where everybody's licensed and doing a good job. And so I tried to sort of turn the corner on it to make it something more interesting to you guys. I hope that helps.
And as far as unlicensed practice too, 99.5% of unlicensed practice cases are commercial. You know, so we have the commercial mindset is they think they're national agents. You have to be licensed in every state. You know, if you're licensed in the state of California, you can't come to Idaho to do business unless you're licensed here. One thing that we did a few years ago, we did the cooperative broker's license, where an outside broker, commercial broker, can't be an agent, salesperson, it's got to be a broker that can team up with an Idaho broker and work in Idaho for a $100 fee and filling out some paperwork. So it's something that we saw a need for, and we had just a ton of unlicensed practice cases, and so this has really helped, and our unlicensed practice cases have went way down. So it's been great. Kristen?
Could you touch on attorneys as well?
I can. And so an attorney can help and assist in a real estate transaction. So, but they got to act as an attorney. And so what we look at, and Craig has investigated, and I've investigated some attorneys. We have a lot of attorneys here in Idaho. They have their law license, but they also have a real estate license, so they can do both. So we get some attorneys that practice real estate, and the more things that they do that looks like you need to have a real estate license, it's unlicensed practice. And so we've investigated them for unlicensed practice, and we've been successful. And so, you know, it's just like every, you know, there's good real estate agents, and there's some that are maybe, you know, inexperienced and stuff. Same thing with attorneys. We get attorneys that call us all the time asking us about real estate and trying to figure out, you know, the ins and outs and the laws and stuff, you know, so they can make a mistake too. And so we really watch for that. So if you ever see something like that and you're in a transaction where, you know, this agent or the attorney is looking to get a commission out of it instead of legal fees, that's unlicensed practice, and we would definitely look at that. So our next topic is, you have a question? Sorry.
Sorry, Craig, what is your last name?
Boyack, B-O-Y-A-C-K.
Thank you.
So our next topic is electronic signature fraud. And so, you know, everything changes so fast in the real estate world, in our world in general. And so we have all this electronic signature going around now. So we've had quite a few cases where a real estate licensee has been able to go in and change the email address where they can sign for a buyer or a seller, and cannot do that. That is fraud, and we'll look at that every day. We have cases right now that are active where we're really looking, and we're going to take a really hard push on that, and there's a potential that some of these agents will possibly be revoked. And so you always, if you're signing for anybody electronically or pen to paper, make sure you have that power of attorney, and that backs you up. You always want to do everything in your power to protect yourself, protect your brokerage, and it doesn't take any time at all to get a power of attorney for a client or a customer. So always get that done, and don't take the chance, because it's so easy. It takes us a matter of minutes to tell, yeah, this is forgery, this is what they did, and it's just not worth it to get in trouble. And if you don't, you lose your license. You're going to get it. You're going to get a big fine as well. So you just don't want to go there. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about wholesaling. So, Craig, you want to start off the wholesaling?
Yeah, I think you set me up so that I got this topic.
Can you
No,
define
wait,
it first?
I have to say one thing. When we were sitting over here, Craig told me the order, so I had nothing to do with that.
We're just trying to throw you under the bus.
He is. He does that a lot.
Personally, I hate the idea of wholesaling, but personally doesn't come into play of what I do. I'm there to enforce black letter law. And one of the things Krista just mentioned is, can I define it? I cannot. It's an industry buzzword, and there is no definition in law as to what it involves, and people will use it to mean different things. Many times taking a call about wholesaling can be a little bit maddening, because they're talking about something a little bit different than what I think they are. So I have to sort of pick beneath the surface and find out exactly what they're interested in. It is a buzzword without definition at this point in history. One of the things to understand about it, though, we don't really care what they might be doing and how they define that word, as much as we're going to look at it. Do you need to have an Idaho real estate license, or is it something you can do without a real estate license? And in many cases, we've seen them boil down to for sale by owner level business. They bought a property, they're on the deed, they're in business, they are offering their own property for sale, and they can do these things. In many cases, they're not. They're actually brokering these properties, and I've seen multiple different documents used as sort of decoys to show that they have an interest. I've seen purchase and sales agreements written up that if you were to read what they put on them, it's nothing more than a listing. I don't care what the title at the top of the document says. The body of the document says it's a listing. They can't do that. They're not licensed. In the same stroke, licensees can get involved in some of this to the level of being in trouble too. There are certain amounts of fraudulent things that have happened in this little buzzword corner of the industry, to where you need to be aware. Does everybody know what's going on? Are they aware that there's an adverse situation to them and they need to know about it? They're still allowed to do stupid things, quite honestly. If you give them all the information, they get to make their own decision, even if it may not have been the best one. And we'll hold their feet to the fire on that too. You had all the information, you didn't maybe make the most advantageous decision, but none of the real estate licensees are going to get in trouble because you had all the information. And so it's a giant topic that's really going to be hard to cover completely in the scope of, an office meeting. You had a question.
I do. So while you cannot give a description of wholesale, what you guys are considering wholesale, can you give us a description of what it is you're looking for? Because I don't even know what are you meaning by somebody who goes in and gets a whole profile of listings and sells the profile with listings that are in it? What is it that you are looking at?
Okay, we're looking for a little more definition as to what we're seeing when they use this wholesaling term. One of the definitions that was just offered to me was somebody who's procuring a bunch of listings and then offering that as a bundle to a licensee to go ahead and market. I have not seen anything that's exactly like that one. I'm not saying it can't happen, but the person procuring and obtaining those listings better have an active Idaho real estate license. If they do, what they do with those listings, we may not be that concerned. What we also see though is people will go out and they'll try and nail down a bunch of properties, because wholesaling typically means there's more than one property. It's not a one-shot thing. It's a business model that somebody's created. And so one of the things that I see quite frequently is they'll go out and they'll make offers and get under contract with half a dozen different properties. And for some reason, we've come to the idea now that you can always get out of a contract based on that inspection clause or something about the way it's written. I don't always agree with that either. There's some really detailed information that might have to be assessed on some of those. But the one I look at is, can the person who is buying all of those individual properties actually afford financially to close on every single one of them? Because if not, somebody is misleading a seller out there and they're going about business in a somewhat crooked fashion. Let's just say it that way. And so those are the kind of things that we're seeing in that, even though there is no definition of wholesaling. We've seen others where they have actually a whole bunch of properties and they have a deed to all of them. You know, maybe they're liquidating a whole bunch of rental properties that they had collected over the years, and they don't want to be landlords anymore, and they're starting to liquidate this stuff. It's their property, they can do what they want to with it. I still think they're better off to hire an agent, but you know, if they're trying to do it on their own, they have a right to do that. And so the devil's in the details. We would have to investigate deeper to find out what's actually going on, and the big assessment would be the need for a real estate license or not. Does that help you?
It does, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a quick, go ahead.
I was just, if you hear anybody saying I'm a wholesaler or I want to wholesale, just call me. Because there is no actual definition, and everybody does use that word loosely. There's a lot of real estate seminars across the country that are using this as a tool. So our agents are going to that, and then they're coming to me saying, okay, I'm ready to dive into this is my next thing. And I'm like, hold on, what is it you're trying to do? So it's all so different. So just have that word in the back of your head and call me, and we'll kind of talk it through and make sure it's above board.
I've done quite a few complaints on wholesalers. I've had a lot of calls from wholesalers. I've had people call me and ask, teach me how to do this. And so we've had, as like Krista said, had a lot of seminars teaching people how to do it. We have some attorneys that are teaching them how to do it. There's a proper way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And so basically a wholesaler is a middleman. And so what they ultimately want to do is they want to skim that equity from the homeowner. So they're going to go look for somebody that's in trouble, they're distressed, they need to get rid of a home. I'm going to come in, I'm going to, and the people that I actually held accountable for unlicensed practice are the people, it was a long time ago was taught that you do an option contract. And so an option contract gives me the ability to exercise it sometime in the future. And once I exercise that, then I actually have equitable title on the property. But until then, I can't try to sell that to an end buyer, but that's what they really want to do. They don't want to buy the home. They want to get it under contract and then sell it for more to gain that equity. And so with if I have that option contract, I have no ability to do that. Go ahead.
So would that be like in land sales, say you have somebody going to your farmers who are in financial need, saying your property's worth $2,000, I'll give you $3,000, knowing darn well they're going to turn it around and sell it for $9,000, but they buy it on an option with the intent to find the buyer before they actually exercise the option. Would that be illegal then?
It would be.
Okay.
So I was going to get to the next point. So when you have an option contract, if I get to the point where I exercise it, then I gain the equitable title. But most of them don't get to that point. And then the other part of it is intent. And when So the next one, if I do a contract, a purchase and sales agreement with somebody, I instantly have equity in that property. So say I'm going out, you're taking me out to look at a property. I write up an offer. It's been accepted by the seller. I can then ask you, I want to sell this, put this on the market for me, and I want to raise the price 100 grand, and do that. And I can do that as a buyer seller because I have the equitable title. But the other part of it is where we don't have jurisdiction is the intent. Do I intend to close on that property if I can't find an end buyer? Wholesalers want to find an end buyer. If they don't find that end buyer, they're going to terminate that contract. And so that seller has all this time involved in this where they get nothing out of it. So, and that would be a civil action where we wouldn't have jurisdiction.
We've taken an action on that before.
What's that?
We've taken an action.
We have.
Before.
We have. So yeah, we've taken actions on that. On the option contract, we've held that out to be unlicensed practice. And then I actually got another complaint on this license, or she wasn't a licensee, and I explained to her how to do it correctly. Still not good, and we got a second complaint filed, and I investigated her again. She was doing it right, so we had no findings. So there is a way to do it right, but a lot of them are doing it wrong. So if you do see something like that, just give us a call.
So if you see something where you see a property that's sold for, say, a million, and then the same day in the afternoon, it sold as a million at 9 a.m., the very same day it closed at 3 million, would that be something to bring to you guys?
We could look into it. It could be possibly be legal if they did the purchase and sales agreement, and me as a wholesaler, that middleman, I find another buyer willing to pay $3 million for it. That's all legal. I can do a simultaneous close to the title company, and everything's legal. So it really depends. So every complaint we get, we really evaluate because you never know how it's going to go, and you always have to listen to both sides. When I first started, I was, I'd get a complaint, and I was all excited. This is terrible. And then I get through with it, I have no findings. So you really have to be open and listen and look at the facts. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into some fee splitting with unlicensed people, transaction coordinators, and things like that. The first one, and Craig's already answered it. You answered it earlier. Could I have an unlicensed assistant calling and trying to procure potential buyers and sellers? No, you can't. That they need a license to be able to do that. So if you do have a transaction coordinator that's not licensed or an unlicensed assistant, don't let them do that. And most likely, somebody will you'll call them, then they'll call us, and then we're going to go ahead and investigate. So you just don't want to go there.
And don't call me. That's happened before too.
You want to take the next one?
Yep. They called me because I was on their call list, not realizing what I do for a living. So it happens. This one says, I want to advertise on social media or on a postcard that I am willing to pay $250 to the person who sends me a buying or listing referral. Okay? Don't do it. We've actually disciplined multiple people over the last 5 years, and probably going back further than that, because what you're doing is you're offering to compensate an unlicensed person. If you do real estate on my behalf, I will pay you money. It doesn't get any more clear-cut than that. Inside the industry with licensees, in this instance, even licensed in another state, if you want to make a referral and receive payment for a referral, that's all well and good, but don't get John Q. Public out there doing this. Don't run an ad that says, I will pay you $250 for everybody who buys in the Sunrise subdivision or whatever it may be, because somebody will turn it into us. The industry is kind of jealous on that front, and we will do something about it. Just don't go down that path. Keep those referrals to the people in the industry and not to lay people.
Can you, and I get this all the time, can you receive names from prospective buyers and sellers, and then if that person provides that, you enter them into a drawing for a gift basket at the end of the month. It's not a
This is
direct.
you.
We were actually just talking
We were
this when
talking
we were
about
driving
it on the way
over.
For you?
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure. So one thing with the real estate commission, when you talk to any investigator that we have there, we want you to get the same answer. So we're always talking to each other. So as we were coming over here, we talked about that topic, and we wanted to make sure we're on the same page. So,
Can you repeat the
oh,
scenario?
okay. Tell me one more time.
Get a little closer to the mic.
Yeah.
Is I put an advertisement out there saying, please give me names and numbers
Yeah,
or whatever of people that you know are looking to buy or sell, and I will enter your name into a drawing that I'm having at the end of this month for gift basket
Yeah.
or whatever, dinner at Chandler's.
So we get that call a lot.
Not.
And so, there's nothing, you won't find anything in the law book about that. And so our interpretation, and a lot of it's our interpretation that we get together, and is it okay, is it not okay, why? And so something like that, we're going to say they can do that. And it really depends, and we've had to say, hey, we're going to give a car away, stuff like that. So, it's definitely not in the letter of the law, and we could probably perceive and say, no, don't do that. But we have a consensus at the Real Estate Commission that there's something you can do. And I would probably try to keep it kind of low, just don't do something really huge. But if we did get a call like that, we wouldn't accept a complaint. So that's marginal, that can go really any way. So, and then the next one was, can I give a gift to a client? And so, yeah, so what really, the thing that we look at is their expectation. If I do this for you, you're going to give me something. So if I'm out working with a buyer or a seller, and we have a successful transaction, we close. So I get my commission. I'm happy. The seller's happy. The buyer's happy. And I want to get them a gift card for X amount, and I give that to them. Definitely, you can do that. I'd watch the amount it is. If I want to give a $100 gift card to somebody that closed on a transaction with me, we would say yes. There was no expectation from that consumer to get that. You're doing it because you want to, and that's the key.
Let's take that from the position of a referral, though. If I happen to have my brother moving to Idaho, and I call one of you up and I said, hey, my brother's going to need a house. I need somebody I can trust. I'm not going to give him to you unless you give me money. That's wrong. Black letter law, that's straight up wrong. If on the other hand, I give him to you and it's somewhere down the road, you've closed, you paid taxes on your commission, you're moving on with life, and you show up and you want to say thank you to me because I did you a solid, my brother bought something and you benefited, we also aren't going to look at that one. I didn't anticipate it, I didn't bargain for it. It's you saying thank you and keeping your referral base up. We're not going to go off the deep end on that. If on the other hand I bargained for it and I withheld this referral until you promised me something that fit my desires that week, that one's going to be a problem. So because we're on the topic of splitting fees and referrals, I thought we ought to add that.
Perfect.
I've got a question online. Can we send out postcards that say, if you close with me, I'll credit you blah, blah, blah at closing, or give a $100 gift card at closing or something like that?
Yes, you can. So, well, yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, if I have a client and my buyer, I can share my commission with that buyer or the seller. And so they're part of that contract. And so it really depends. We have to look at this scenario. And if people want to do something like that, I would always recommend calling. And anytime you have a question about anything with real estate, Craig and I, when we were in the heyday, we were getting up to 600 phone calls a month. And we want you to call. That's important. The first thing you do is you want to talk to Krista, and go through her. And then if you need something else, give us a call. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure you are following the law and you're doing things right and you're not going to get in trouble. And so we definitely don't want, you know, anybody to get in trouble, get any fines. You know, we have tons of CE fines, we have tons of E&O fines. Always make sure you stay on top of that. Know your dates. Know when you're going to renew your license. Call or check online. I have all my CEs. I need 12 credits. I need 2 core classes, and just have that done. You know, so there's so many that takes couples of minutes to save you a lot of money. Yes.
What if you offer like a home warranty plan for a buyer upon closing?
So the question is, what could you offer a home warranty plan for a buyer? Yes, you can. And so, I mean, you can get in there, you know, you could have a buyer, and I'm going to say, hey, I'll hire a handyman for you after you buy to do this. So it comes down to sharing your commission with somebody that you're in contract with. You can definitely do
just
that.
have escrow deduct that cost of that out of your commission, so you're not paying taxes on it.
Go ahead, Craig.
Can I add a little caveat to that one? You have to be a little bit careful about loan fraud. And most of these aren't going to be that gigantic amount of money anyway. But really the safe haven is to make sure the underwriter knows you're doing that. You're making a financial contribution to that buyer's transaction, okay? Most underwriters aren't going to care. It's a small amount of money, but boy, it's good protective information to keep a copy of that email thread in your file and say, you know, I talked to the underwriter, they don't care, rather than to have one of us call and say, did you tell the underwriter? Because what happens on these, I don't think any underwriter anywhere is going to have a problem with this. But what happens is they evolve. Hey, this works, I can do this. Now I'm going to do a little more. I've come up with something else. And eventually that dollar amount adds up to where the underwriter might actually care. And, you know, if I talk to the underwriter and they said, oh, wow, we never would have signed off on that loan had we known this guy wasn't contributing all this money to it, you could have a problem. And so, honestly, document, follow up. The other safe haven is to close it first. The underwriter made a bargain. The buyer gave him exactly that bargain. And after it closed and the dust settled, you provided something to that buyer. It's not the underwriter's need to know. They got what they bargained for. It was their money. They put it down. They closed. The underwriter's out of it. Now, if you want to show up and, you know, throw sod all weekend, that's up to you. Okay?
What about like an inspection? Pay for the inspection too?
Same, yeah, same.
I thought so.
Yeah.
That's a little far out there, but I just want to put it in
Yeah.
your minds
Yeah.
that there could at some point be one of these, because they do evolve. It starts small. You know, it's a little tiny thing. I'm going to pay for this, or I'm going to pick up that fee.
Yeah.
But eventually, you know, you start getting into, you know, 4 or 5 figures on one of these, especially as valuable as some of the homes have become lately. You could find yourself with a little bit of a problem.
And as you move forward with your transactions, it's important, if you have a question, take a minute to call us. I know way back in the day, we were kind of scary, you know, and people were intimidated to call the commission. We want to help. We want you to call. We want to answer your questions. And so, you know, we value getting those calls, you know, and so I don't care how small it is or how big it is, call us, and we want you to get it right. And so, you know, if, you know, I have business cards. I know it's a little bit harder to get through to us now. You know, I have no problem. Anybody I talk to on the phone, I said, please call me, and I give them my number. I tell them to call me directly, and you know, and it takes me minutes to help. So when you have those questions, don't hold on to them and think, hey, I think I'm okay here. You know, be on solid ground. Call and get the information you need. That's important. Yes.
If we're doing a listing and we want to pay for the staging, you know, that's quite a bit of money. There's no problem with that, correct?
Yeah. See, there's,
Maybe
you know.
there is.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a far out angle, I'm loath to even talk about it.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, we had this short sale market going on, you know.
Right.
And one of the things that the, what did they even call the guy? It was a loss mitigator. The loss mitigators would not let the seller have anything if they were going to do one of these short sales. And so, you know, I'm not saying that will never happen again, but I hope I'm retired before it does. And yet, you know, there might be this weird, way out there, distant thought that could happen again. Are the sellers getting something financially of benefit to them out of this deal? And you might need to tell somebody else about it. When it comes to things like loan fraud, we don't care what you do for the seller. They're not borrowing money. Does that help?
Yeah.
Could we hit on one more question?
Yeah, I
for the
mean,
sake of time?
yeah, and I'm going to talk about something just that was important here. I just want people to know. And so, you know, we have issues with licensees interfering with another licensee's contract. This is important. And so, if you have a situation like that, just back away. Just don't help. You know, just say, hey, you need to figure this out on your own. I had a broker, I had a renter broker, I had the owner, I had an agent, I had the new broker's agent all come in to talk to me at the real estate commission. And I told them, and I said, the agent wanted to talk to her clients to get them to cancel to move to the new brokerage. And I said, don't do it. This is what's going to happen. You're going to do it, then this broker's going to file a complaint against you, and then it's going to come to me, and I'm going to investigate it, and then we're going to take a lot of your money. And that's exactly what happened. And so it's not worth it. If you have somebody contact you, a buyer wants to cancel their contract, do not assist them. If you do, and it comes back to us, I mean, we're going to investigate, and I mean, you're going to potentially get a fine of anywhere probably from $1,500 to $3,500, plus cost and attorney fees. And you don't want to go there. You tell them to solve it. Once they solve it and they're out of contract, they can come back to you. We talked about contract law, you know, and we don't have jurisdiction over contract law, but to break a contract is a breach of a contract. And that's why you should always call your legal hotline to get a legal opinion. It's free, and utilize them, and they can help you. So I think we're out of time right now. You have something, Craig?
No, I thought you had
That
one more
actually
question.
was what I wanted.
I figured that's what you wanted to. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So I appreciate you inviting us over, and please, if you have any questions, give us a call. I have some business cards if you want one. If you don't, you're fine. You just give us a call there. We're there to help. So thank you.
Thank you both so much. Wow, that was hopefully all a refresher, but hopefully got some things clarified too. It's interesting, you know, we run across these issues at the brokerage level, and they're important and they matter. So thank you for, just touching on all of those topics. And we'll see you guys on July 18th, learning more about solar and how that affects your listings and your purchases. And have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Krista, thank you for inviting us.
Welcome.